Because the only difference I want you to understand, the only difference between the richest man on the planet and the poorest man on the planet is just this, that the richest man knows the usage of his body and mind better than the poorest man. Because these are the only two faculties you have in the material world. Let's say you buy a smartphone today. So if you want to use that smartphone at its full capacity, then it is very important for you to understand that what is the specification in that phone, what are the features in that phone, what is the software capacity, what is the hardware capacity, and this and that. So it is like this, if you have any kind of gadget, it is very important for you, if you want to use it at its higher capacity, it is important to know about it. The more you know about it, the better you can use it. Same thing happens with your mind. Because your mind is one such gadget which has very high possibilities, and to exploit these possibilities, it is very important for you to understand that how this mind functions, what are the features, how it functions, what is the nature of the mind, what are the layers of the mind. It is very important to know all these things, because if you want to do anything important in your life, it is very important for you to exploit your mind as much as you can. Then only you will be able to do the right actions that you want to do and achieve your goals or tasks or whatever the hell you have set for yourself. Because the only difference I want you to understand, the only difference between the richest man on the planet and the poorest man on the planet is just this, that the richest man knows the usage of his body and mind better than the poorest man. Because these are the only two faculties you have in the material world. So if you know how to use your body better, if you know how to use your mind better, you can create more and more things for yourself and for the society. So to understand the level of the mind, it is very important that you understand how it functions, what are the features, what are the specifications, then only you would be able to use it better. So according to yogic sciences, there are 4 layers of the mind. These 4 layers are called intellect, memory, identity, and consciousness. So we'll just speak one by one what are these and what are the features of these things and how they function in the mind. So if we talk about intellect, let's take a practical example. Let's say there are 2 different kinds of men. Those who have studied the same kind of college, same kind of books, same kind of information, same kind of knowledge have gone in their head. But if both of them sit in an interview and they are asked 5 or 10 different questions, their capacity to answer the questions would be different despite of the fact that they have the same knowledge. So the job of intellect is such that how efficiently, how fast it can make the permutation and combination and produce the answers of the question to the interviewer. It is not about the knowledge or the memory, it is about how fast and efficiently the intellect can use the memory. That is the job of the intellect. So either it is your speed, or it is your efficiency, or it is your creativity, or it is your possibility. That is the job of the intellect. The only limitation with the intellect is that it runs only on the memory. If there is no memory, intellect is useless. If there is no knowledge, intellect is useless. If there is no base, intellect is useless. So this is one dimension that you should understand of the mind, which is called intellect. It is just how to make the permutation and combination of the same data which is there in your mind, how fast it can make, how efficiently it can make, how much more it can make. It's like this, you have same knowledge, but how much you can make permutation and combination differently and produce more ideas. That is the job of the intellect. The second layer of the mind is memory. When we say memory, if you just look at a child which is just newborn, The child looks at everything just with the wonder. Either this is a phone or a laptop or this AC or this fan or whatever the damn thing. When a child is born and looks at things, he doesn't know anything because he does not have this memory. He does not have this information which is fed over a period of time in our mind. Only based upon that our intellect works. So either this information comes from the books, or this information comes from the audio books, or it comes from the video books, or any kind of damn information source, or the knowledge. So this is second layer of mind, which is called information, or which is called memory. So without which your intellect is useless. So more and more knowledge you have, the higher possibility you get to make more and more permutation and combination. It is like this: unless your source is empty, your superficial idea will not be there, right? So it becomes very important for you to have more and more knowledge. That is why people say that you should learn more so that you can produce more and more ideas. Third layer of the mind is called identity. This is, in my understanding, if I say in my personal understanding, is extremely important, because your intellect and memory is the slave of your identity. What you are identified with, your intellect and your memory will serve only that. Let's take another example. Let's say your mind produces a great idea which can change the humanity, or which can change the life of the people, enhance the life of the people. Idea has come because of your knowledge, because of the intellectual permutation and combination. So once the idea is there, and let's say you are identified with some kind of religion or with some kind of country, let's say you say I am an American, or I am an Indian, or I am Hindu, or I am Muslim, the first thing that will happen with you, that you will try to implement that idea with those people with whom you are identified. If you are identified with Muslims, you will try to implement that idea for Muslims. If you are identified with Americans, you will try to implement that idea with Americans. Even if you know that this idea is more preferred maybe in Africa, not in America, but you are identified with America, then you will not implement it in Africa. So your intellect and your memory is the slave of your identity. Let's take another practical example. Let's say you are overly identified with yourself and you think that you are a great man, you are a right man, you do not do any kind of sin, you do all kind of virtues, you help people, and you are a good man. So you have overly identified yourself with a good man. Now in your family you fight with your wife. Fight happens and it goes for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days like that, and suddenly a mind produces the idea that if you say sorry to your wife, then the problem will get resolved. But the only problem is that you are identified with yourself that you are a good man and you should not say sorry. So your intellect will serve your identity, not the solution. So it is very important that your identities are not small, are not limited. Bigger the identities you have, bigger the canvas you have for your intellect and memory. Smaller the identity, smaller the canvas to play on. It's like this: if you want to do the painting, the bigger canvas you have, then you can do more things. If you have small canvas, you can do less things. So if your identities are bigger, if your identities are universal, if you are not identified with this religion or that religion, this caste or that caste, this country or that country, if your identity is universal, then your mind and your memory and your intellect will work on a bigger canvas, and you would not be able to realize that the kind of possibilities it will open up to you will be amazing. So that is the third layer, and very important for you to change your and shift your identities for the bigger things. Fourth layer of the human mind is the father of everything, is the consciousness or chitta. This thing is something which I explained, maybe you would not be able to understand, because this is something which very few people would have experienced. It generally happens to those people who have been meditative in their life at some point of time. Consciousness is having no connection with your intellect, with your memory, with your identity. It doesn't give any fuck to anything. It is the creator. It is the force which is actually keeping the every creation alive in this universe. Either it is this planet or that galaxy or this universe, the entire thing is being handled by the consciousness. There are different names, either you call it God, or you call it universe, or you call it source of creation, or you call it anything, but it is actually the deepest layer of mind, which who you are. Your intellect, your memory, your thoughts are very superficial level of your mind. With them you can only do the things in the physical world. With them only you can make more or less money. With them you can make little more power or little more luxury or little more this and that, or maybe you can help other people to survive, but nothing bigger than that. So okay, if you are in the society, in the country, in your social practices, maybe you can use that mind, but when it comes to the consciousness, it is to liberate you from the limited. Consciousness is certain awareness of not this and that, awareness of everything. It's like this, that if you're meditating with your eyes closed, you don't have to think of your mind, you don't have to think of your emotions, you don't have to think of your thoughts. No, just being absolutely aware of you being present and alive. That is consciousness. Consciousness is not an idea. Consciousness is not a thought. Consciousness is just a certain awareness which keeps you alive, which makes you who you are right now. You think you are only because you are conscious. If you are unconscious, you don't know who the hell are you. That's what happens in the sleep. If you truly deeply sleep in the night, maybe in other people's mind you are alive, but in your experience you don't know whether you exist or not. You don't know whether the world exists or not. You don't know bloody whether your dear children exist or not, simply because you are unconscious. So how conscious you are during the day when you are operating into the world, how consciously you act, how consciously you use your intellect, how consciously you use your identity, how consciously you use your memory, will be determined by the consciousness, and that is the deepest layer of the mind. So these are the 4 layers of the mind, and if you know the functions and the features, then it will become very good for you to make use of it better. For me, the most important thing in the survival world, in the social world, is your identity. Enlarge your identities, break the small patterns. Breaking small pattern does not mean that you will have to go out and shout that no, I am not Hindu, I am Muslim, or I am universal, I am not American. No, you don't have to do all these things. When you are in the society, maybe you will have to pretend in front of people. When I am in India and I'll have to say yes, because if you are in America and say that no, I am not American, then people will bloody slap on your face. So just maintain the sanity within yourself. You break the identities, not to the other people. And when the ideas comes, when the thoughts comes, when the solutions comes, it's good for you that you implement and apply where it produces the highest amount of results and where it is needed most, because you are not identified with that. And to enhance your intellect, for sure there are different yogic practices. You can do meditation. Meditation will really help you. Meditation means meditation. Meditation does not mean that sleeping in the vertical posture. So I have made a lot of videos, different videos, that what is the real meditation, what is the meaning of meditation, how to prepare for meditativeness, what are the basic things that you can do. All kinds of things are there in the videos at my channel which you can watch. But if you do the real meditation, then it will help you to enhance your intellect. It will help you to grasp more and more memory and knowledge. And above all, you would be able to use your mind and body better.